Hello listeners, this is the JC Squared Pod, and today I'll be discussing my film, The Eclectic Essay. Me and my team made a variety of creative decisions that ultimately had major impacts on the interpretation and meaning of the film, and in this episode I'll be reviewing them with you, as well as answering the question, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? I'd like to start out by addressing how our film uses and challenges genre conventions. This film is intended to be a comedy. In order to approach the sensitivity of the issue regarding social challenges while remaining entertaining, we included a variety of comedic and lighthearted techniques. Media theorist Steve Neal believed that films in a genre must be representative of features and conventions that belong in said genre in order to be successful. His theory can be recognized in our film through our use of comedic techniques. This can be viewed in popular films such as the 1993 movie Mrs. Doubtfire and Elf 2003. These films experienced massive success because they remained with the conventions of a traditional comedy film. When creating our film, me and my group took creative inspiration from those films. An example of this in my film was the exaggerated portrayal of the main character, specifically around the end of the segment when he screams, "I could have been a contender." His inability to behave professionally is comical, serving as another representation of the comedy genre. Some frequently used conventions of comedies are exaggerations, disruptions, and establishing personality traits like foolishness and awkwardness among characters. The main character frequently behaves foolishly, such as when the alarm begins in the beginning of the film, signaling for him to begin his work. He was awkward and foolishly unprepared, once again representing the standard conventions of the comedy genre. One of the final ways we approached the genre of comedy was through our credits and genre-based logo. By including the university logo in the credits, we foreshadowed the events to come later in the story. And the simple structure and organization of the credits set the audience up to expect a lighthearted, easygoing story, likely in the form of a comedy. Our genre-based elements included a simple yet somewhat intense and dramatic logo for JC Squared Productions and a comedy logo of a clown for Peak Entertainment Productions. We challenged the conventional expectations of a comedy because our film also took on a more serious tone at times. Generally, in a comedy, the tone is carefree or jovial throughout the entire film. In my opinion, this is flawed and decreases the film's overall complexity. Our film has a unique approach to comedy where the conventions of a comedy are incorporated among the periods of humor, yet less optimistic tones are still present at times. The other two slightly less significant genres present in the film are suspense and drama. The film has natural dramatic qualities with comedic exaggeration sprinkled throughout, and suspense when the main character is waiting for the results of his college application to come in. As a group, we understood that a major issue plaguing society today is a lack of work ethic and self-developmental drive and discipline among young people, specifically men. Media theorist Stuart Hall came up with a theory that relates to this. Hall came up with the theory of representation. The issue being addressed and represented in this film is young men's stereotypical laziness and lack of creativity/originality. We wanted to represent this by showing the consequences and individual product of a lifetime of procrastination. The young man in the film decides to wait to submit his college application and ultimately pays the price for it through losing the opportunity to go to his dream college. The boy, following a stereotype as theorized by Hall, costs him his future. We thought this film could serve almost as a cautionary tale to those with similar destructive tendencies. The film represents a number of social groups such as teens, students, and lazy people. This increases the number of potential audiences and viewers. Now that I've addressed the question, I'm going to move on to some media theorists and how their ideas can be seen in the film. The theories of Roland Barthes can be interpreted in our film. Roland Barthes believes that films carry cultural meanings and signs. In our film, the main character blatantly plagiarized and stole the intellectual property of well-known movie franchises so he would have material to write about in his college essay. This displayed an example of cultural issues today's society is faced with. The blatant academic corruption displayed in the film is a topic of significant concern, especially in recent times, following Barthes' theory. Another film theorist whose works are reflected in our film is Tsvetan Totrov. Totrov believes that narratives in a film are established by the disruption of equilibrium, or essentially the balance and stability of the initial plot. Where this can be seen in the film is when the young man realizes his college papers must be turned in. This interrupts his initial activities and leads him to the panic that lasts him throughout the entirety of the rest of the film. Now that we've talked about a few of the media theorists, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode. Raycon is a company that produces high-quality audio and tech products for affordable prices while still maintaining incredible quality. From a personal perspective, I use their products almost daily, and as of the time of recording this, I'm using their everyday earbuds to finish off the editing process for a prior pod. Use code JC2 at checkout for 20% off your purchase, eligible until April 5th, 2026. Once again, huge thanks to Raycon, such an incredible company, and as a community, we really appreciate what they've done for the podcast. The theories of Claude Lévi-Strauss can also be interpreted in the film through the binary opposition between comedic nature of the young man's original carefree lifestyle and lack of concern regarding his academic and school-related responsibilities. This is contrasted with the later display of his newfound burden of obligations and tasks. The final theorist I'm going to mention is Judith Butler. Butler came up with a theory of gender performativity in media, believing gender was not a fixed identity, but a performance. The boy in the film is lazy, plays video games, and procrastinates constantly. He takes up the stereotypical role of a male in the media through his actions and how he behaves. Butler's theories can be interpreted clearly in our film. Thank you for your attention today. As a creator, I would really appreciate it if you could share the podcast and let friends and family know that you've been listening lately. Finally, shout out to the media theorists that came up with all of these incredible theories that can be seen throughout our film. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more great episodes in the podcast. Thank you.